9 years had passed since Anna had last seen her best friend Vera. The unbearable sense of loss that she had tried to suppress for years never left her. Everyone said that Vera had simply left their small town to start a new life somewhere far away. But Anna knew that it was not true. Vera had disappeared, vanished without a trace, and no one could explain where she had gone. It happened late in the evening. They had agreed to meet at an old bus stop near an abandoned church on the outskirts of town. The place itself seemed a little ominous, but that evening, under the moonlight, it looked even scarier. Vera was running late, and Anna decided to go to meet her along the dark road that led to her house. She remembers moving along the empty street, feeling a slight wind that brought the smell of damp leaves. But the further she walked, the more worried she became. 9 years had passed, but Anna still saw that evening in her dreams. She saw the faint light of a lantern flickering along the road leading to the forest and heard footsteps echoing in the silence. Vera never came that evening. Since then, an endless series of questions, suspicions, and suffering began. But neither the police, nor relatives, nor neighbors, no one could find a single clue. Anna tried to come to terms with the fact that Vera had disappeared forever, but something inside her did not give her peace. One day, when her life seemed to have returned to its usual course, Anna received a strange message. She received a letter with a simple text, "Do you still want to know what happened to Vera?" Without a signature, without an explanation, but the sender was sure that she knew what was being discussed. Anna's heart sank. Someone, after so many years, decided to raise this issue again. The evening when Anna decided to go in search of answers was cold and damp. Her heart was constricted with fear, but she could no longer ignore the strange letter. It was as if something was pushing her to go outside, to walk along the very road where Vera had disappeared for the last time. This time Anna felt stronger, more determined than before, but perhaps it was just an illusion. The letter left no doubt that Vera had not disappeared by accident. It was an invitation, a challenge. Someone wanted Anna to come to the place where this terrible story had begun. A strange feeling of anxiety was mixed with an inexplicable desire to find out the truth. After walking through the city center, she found herself on the outskirts, where silence and the smell of damp earth hung in the air. The road she was walking along seemed painfully familiar to her. The same old lanterns, the same houses in which people had lived all this time, unaware of the dark deeds that were happening here. Anna felt a chill run down her spine. Approaching the old church, she stopped and looked at its gloomy silhouette. The church had been closed for renovations, but the doors looked, oddly enough, open. Anna slowly approached the entrance, and a feeling grew inside her that something was wrong here. She had heard from old-timers that something strange was happening in this church, that it was not just abandoned, but as if it had been abandoned in a hurry. Anna pushed the heavy door, which swung open with a loud creak, letting her inside. It was dark inside. Only the light of her flashlight illuminated the dark corners and cracked walls. The floor was strewn with trash, and thick dust lay on the old pews. She slowly moved forward, feeling how the walls of the church seemed to be shrinking around her. Suddenly, somewhere in the distance, there was a sound, as if something had fallen. Anna froze. Her breathing became ragged. Her mind told her to leave immediately, but her legs, as if of their own accord, moved further. The sound grew louder. It became clearer. They were footsteps, heavy, as if something was moving in the shadows, hiding from the light of her flashlight. Suddenly the flashlight went out, and complete darkness reigned around her. Anna covered her mouth with her hands to keep from screaming. The silence was deafening, but inside her, a quiet, hoarse voice sounded. "You came." Anna turned around sharply, but saw no one. The voice seemed to come from everywhere, as if it was penetrating her head, filling her mind with fear. She slowly backed away, trying to find a way out, but the darkness seemed to swallow her. Finally, when her back touched the cold wall, she froze. The voice whispered her name again. "Anna, you were supposed to come. You remember, right?" She swallowed hard. Suddenly, something flashed before her eyes. In the dim light, she saw a figure tall, thin, with long arms and a twisted face that looked straight at her. It was not a human face. It was something. Distorted, devoid of any human form. Anna exhaled convulsively and felt cold fingers touch her hand. "This is not the end," the voice whispered. And then the light of the flashlight suddenly flared, illuminating the empty space around her. No figure, no voice, only silence. Anna stood there, trembling, trying to understand what had happened. But her gaze fell on the floor where the trash had been. Now lay her old children's doll. The same one that Vera always took with her as a child. Anna slowly picked up the doll, and her hands trembled. On the doll's chest were scratched the letters "Go to the forest." This was the last key. Fear gripped her, but now she knew that her path was not over. She had to go to where it all began and find the answer to the question that had tormented her for so many years.